The day is lost. I'm going to restart again tomorrow. I'll start again on Monday or the first of the month or the first of the year. It's just one bite. You deserve the ice cream. You've had such a hard day, or you've had such an amazing day, or it's really just not that big of a deal. Why are you even trying to lose weight again? You've already failed 110 times. You really think time 111 is going to be it? Just avoid the shame without even trying. Don't tell people that you're on a weight loss journey, because that way, if you end up quitting, you don't have to deal with the shame or the embarrassment of them knowing. Welcome to the Fat Mind. In this episode, I'm going to be walking you through literally step by step how to end the war with your fat mind, so that by the time you get to your weight loss goal, you're not still living with the fat mind in a healthy body that will lead to you as eventually succumbing, giving in, and gaining the weight back the way you've been doing your whole life, and the way that I had done my entire life as well. So it's normal. I totally get it. Grab a pen and grab a paper, because the next 20 minutes are going to send you in the trajectory of actually putting obesity behind you for good, so that when you tell people that you used to be fat, they don't believe you until you pull your loose skin out or show them an old picture or a video or something like that. That's what healing actually looks like, and this episode is going to help you progress on that journey. If you're new here, hi, I'm Nick. I lost 110 pounds in 2019 after a lifetime of losing weight and gaining it back on every single diet, every single year, anywhere from 50 to 75 pound fluctuations on every diet known to humankind that anyone's ever considered doing or ever tried themselves. I learned in 2019 that weight loss is an inside-out game. I started to master my mind and my relationship with food, and eventually made a permanent identity shift to being a healthy person. That's what led to me putting obesity behind me, and now you would never guess that I was fat unless I pulled my loose skin out, or you looked me up on Instagram, or realized that this is one of the biggest weight loss podcasts in the world. So if you knew all that, then you know that I was fat, of course. But let's go ahead and get into it. Grab a pen, grab a paper. You're going to want to take some notes. So the first thing you need to understand is, what is the fat mind? So the fat mind is the part of yourself that I just mentioned. It's the part of yourself that says things like, the day is lost. I ate that Twix bar when I walked into work. I ate that Twix bar. Now the day's entirely lost, and I'm going to just eat whatever the fuck I want through the end of the evening, and I'll start again tomorrow. It's the part of you that says things like, I've already tried this many times and it hasn't worked, so why is it going to work this time? It's not going to work this time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. It's the part of yourself that's like, Thursday comes, and you know that you've got dinner with your family on Saturday, so you're going to have a quote unquote cheat meal, so you might as well just start the cheat meals on Thursday instead of Saturday. Anytime that you find yourself negotiating, anytime that you find yourself hating on yourself, anytime that you find yourself going, come on, you fat fuck, you got to figure this the fuck out, any of that negative voice, anything that, even though it might be helping you in some way, feels like it's probably not serving to your energy, your mood, or your health. Even things like the voice that's like, well, I'm a postmenopausal woman, how is me listening to this podcast from this guy in his 30s going to help me lose weight? What the fuck does he know? That's actually you. That has nothing to do with me. That's your fat mind, right? This work works for everyone, including my mom. 75% of you listening to this are postmenopausal women. So anytime that you feel those kind of voices, excuses, limiting beliefs, reasons not to, reasons to give in, that is the fat mind. Now, you can lose weight with the fat mind. I did it every year for my entire life. Even the last time that I lost weight still had a lot of struggles, because I didn't have all of the language and the awareness of this work at the time. It took me losing weight to figure a lot of these things out. But here's the medicine that I wish somebody had given me, because it would have saved me years of losing weight and then just hating myself into results that were never permanent in the first place, and wishing that I never wasted my time. The reason why it's important is because if you have a fat mind in a skinnier body, what that means is you do something like keto, right? So you change the foods that you eat, or you really restrict yourself into weight loss, doing something that doesn't feel sustainable. The definition of sustainability in this realm, and when it comes to weight loss, is this close to something that you can do for the rest of your life? Or is your plan to change your behavior once you actually get to your weight loss goal? If you plan on figuring out how to keep it off once you get there, you'll never do that. Nobody ever has, right? The fat mind comes up when you say that kind of shit to yourself, and you get down to your goal, and then you end up just giving into the fat mind. You're always going to come back to whatever you believe about yourself. So the first thing to write down is, what is the fat mind? And then write down some of the things that your fat mind says to you. You're not going to make it. Don't waste your time. You're a postmenopausal woman. You've already tried 100 times. It's just one bite. Boom. Write all those things down, right? The second thing you're going to write down is, you will come back to whatever you believe about yourself, or whatever you believe is true is true. So we need to change this belief and find a way to stop identifying with this belief. And that's a major part of this episode, right? The third thing that we're going to do is we're going to give that voice a name. And keeping in mind, you'll never win the war with this voice, right? So we need to put an end to the war, and I'll show you how to do that. Give this voice a name. My recommendation is to name it your name backwards. So my name is Nick, N-I-C-K. My fat mind, or fat voice, we can use that language too, is named K-C-I-N, which is Nick backwards, Kaysen. I get freaked out when I meet people that spell Nick N-I-C or N-I-K. I feel like what did their parents do that for? And I question that person, not really. But I'm N-I-C-K, so my name backwards is K-C-I-N. We call that Kaysen or Kin, whatever works better for you. We're going to say Kaysen. So step 3, give that voice a name. Your name backwards. My mom's name is Stacy. You heard me go through some of this work with her. Her name backwards is Yakats, for example. It doesn't have to sound like a good name. Step number 4 is, when is the first time you remember hearing this voice? And this is the most important piece of this entire process. When's the first time this voice came up for you? For me, this voice used to say, food is comfort, food is escape. You know, you're safe when you eat. You feel better when you eat. Some of those things are true to some degree. It wasn't really serving to my health, right? So the first time this came up for me was I grew up in a household I grew up in a very unpredictable, energetic household with abuse, with yelling, arguing, fighting all the fucking time. I was 10 years old. We were living in Indiana, and I'll never forget this. Gosh, it was probably a Saturday or a Sunday. It had to have been a weekend. My parents were just fucking screaming at each other. And whenever they would fight, me and my sister would get put into our rooms. So I went into my room and I'm playing video games, and there's all these noises. We don't know what's happening or how serious it is. And I remember being so anxious and so stressed out that there was a part of me, and pay attention to this language here. There was a part of me that was like, man, I just want to go eat. And I remember sneaking into the kitchen and taking 10 pizza rolls, because 10 pizza rolls is exactly what lined and completed the full circle on the small medium-sized plates that we had. And I microwaved them for 1 minute and 30 seconds. You click the +30 button 3 times. This is how clear that memory is for me. And then I would take Doritos and Sun Chips and crumble them up so that I can eat them with a spoon or a fork, and then make a mountain of Doritos. And then around it would be the circle of the pizza rolls. This was the first time I ever did that. And I brought it into my room and I sat there and I ate it. And then I just kind of vegged out and I just started playing video games and watching whatever was on TV, or just zoning out. And that was the way that I had escaped from all the shit that was happening and that I didn't want to be a part of, that didn't feel good to me as a kid. So that's the first time the fat mind came up for me. Nick, you're unsafe. Nick, you're unregulated. Nick, the safety is in the food. It's Kaysen saying, come on, Nick, just eat the food. It's not a big deal. You'll feel better when you eat this food. And that has taken a lot of awareness for me to recognize that part of myself, right? So the first time it came up for me, I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and I was in Indiana, and that's what happened, and that's what I ate. So the questions for you, number 4, is, when is the first time this came up for you? How old were you? Where were you? What happened, and what did you eat? And we all have varying levels of capital T and lowercase t trauma, right? Capital T trauma might be horrific things happen to you that you wouldn't dare speak of. Lowercase t trauma might be, I was the middle child and I probably didn't get the attention that I deserved. Wherever you're at on that spectrum, you have trauma, especially if you're somebody that's been losing weight and gaining it back the way that I was. You absolutely have trauma that you have not completely healed. And I'm air quoting if you're not watching this. I use the word healed loosely. What does healing really look like is up for debate. And I feel that word is drastically overused, but have not come to terms and found peace with is a much better way of putting it that I feel resonates better for where we're at on our journey here together. The next thing you need to understand is that you are not your fat mind. So this is piece number 5. Write this down. You are not your fat mind, but your fat mind is a part of you. So this can be a little bit confusing. You are not your fat mind. Your fat mind is a part of you. So this is actually baked into our language. There's a part of me that blank. There's a part of me that wants to get Dairy Queen on the way home. There's a part of me that just wants to get Uber Eats and not cook. There's a part of me that blank. There's a part of me that wants to skip my walk today. I don't want to skip my walk today. There's a part of me that wants to skip my walk today. There's a part of me that wants to say, fuck it, and just give in on this. Why am I even wasting my time, right? A part of me, but not entirely me, right? So the question, number 6, write down, you are not your fat mind, but it is a part of you, right? Number 7 is, if this part of you had a voice, what would it say? So this part of you that has been here since you were a kid, showing up in different ways outside of just food, weight loss, and emotions, right? Number 7 is, if that part of you had a voice, what would it say? Fully embody this. Like, pause this right now if you're alone and fully embody, let the fat voice speak through you all the way. I can't fucking believe that we're here. I can't believe that you're still trying to lose weight. You're wasting your fucking time. You're an embarrassment. It's embarrassing that we're even trying. Stop trying. You're not worth it. You don't deserve it. You're unworthy. You're gonna quit. You've been dealing with this for 50 years and now you're 64 years old. You're not going to lose weight as a 64-year-old. Most people don't. Just take Ozempic. Nothing wrong with Ozempic, but that's a part of the fat mind a lot of the times, right? Whether or not that's right for you is a different conversation. Fully express that version of yourself, right? And the question to ask in response, which is number 8, write this down after you express it, is, what does this part of you actually desire? Wow. I don't know. I never really thought, well, it desires to sabotage myself and to eat the Dairy Queen Blizzards and the ice cream. No. What does this part of you actually desire? You can imagine just for 1 second that you've got multiple personalities. If this was one of the personalities, what does it actually desire? Well, it desires to eat the food and to quit on my weight loss journey, to not even try. Why does it desire that? Well, it desires that because it doesn't want to feel shame from failing. It desires it because it doesn't want to feel embarrassment from other people seeing me quit and gain the weight back and asking what happened. Okay, so it doesn't want you to feel negativity. Correct. It also wants me to eat food because food is my comfort and because food makes me feel good when I eat it. So it wants you to feel good. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to feel good? Yeah. Was it fair to say that what this part of you actually really deeply desires is typically some versions, different for everyone, of positivity, safety, good feeling, and staying away from things that are scary and harmful? Yeah. That sounds pretty awesome. Can you find a little bit of gratitude for that part of yourself? Because it actually does want what is in alignment with your healthiest and your highest self. Yeah, it might be a little bit of a stretch. Yeah, actually, now that I really think about it, what that part of me does desire is actually positive. It's just going about it the wrong way. Okay. Are there any parts of you that disagree with this part of yourself? So Kaysen's out here saying, Nick, come on, man. It's been 7 years of you losing weight and gaining it back, and you think that in 2019 is going to be your year. You're in your mid-20s that you're going to really put it behind you. Come on. Are there any parts of me that disagree? Yeah, there is a part of me that disagrees with that. Okay, what would that part of yourself say? It would say, come on, Kaysen, like, you've been ruining my life for literally ever. And I'm to the point where I'm so fed up with being fat that I would rather die. And it's not that I want to die. It's that I don't even know why I'm alive, because I spend 99% of my time wishing that I wasn't fat, thinking about food and thinking about cravings, wishing that things were different. I'm not even present to my own hand in front of my face. I look at my hand and I don't even recognize it because I have so little presence in my life. I go to work and people talk to me and I don't even really actually hear the intention behind what they're saying. I'm just trying to get done with the conversation so that I can get home because I hate my job. And I hate my job, and I'm too afraid to get another job because I don't want to walk into a fucking interview at almost 300 pounds feeling like shit, looking hungover like I'm an alcoholic, but it's actually just because I binged Red Robin and Dairy Queen last night, sleeping like shit, don't have the sex life that I want, haven't been on top of my woman in years, literally years, too afraid to leave my woman, even though I don't even want to be calling her my woman anymore because I don't want her, but I'm too afraid of being alone because I'm so fat, who's going to want me when I don't even want myself? Whoa. Okay, so now we have a conversation, right? We might call this a war, right? But it's really just a conversation. So here's Nick is talking to Kaysen. I have 2 different parts of myself that are in disagreement with each other. What does this part of myself want? What does Nick want? Nick wants to feel good. Nick wants to feel safe. Nick wants to feel pride. Nick wants, wow. So you hold both your hands up, shake your left hand, this is Nick, shake your right hand, this is Kaysen, or your name backwards. They both want the same thing. All parts of you actually want the same thing at the end of the day. So the question becomes, and write this down as the next step, what does Kaysen actually need? That part of yourself that is sabotaging you, that fat mind, that fat voice, what does it actually need? And you might go, what do you mean, what does it actually need? Whatever memory you went back to from your childhood, the first time that you ever used food for more than what it was intended to be used for, the first time you ever used food as a comfort, the first time you ever drastically overate, the first time you ever hurt yourself by overeating food, the first time you ever made a decision that was against your own best interests knowingly, and you actively chose to do it because it felt better in the moment. If you were to go back to yourself at that age, so for me, I was either 10 or 11, we'll say 10. If Nick right now in 2025 went back to Nick in, 2003, maybe that would have been, and had to give him what he actually needs, what would it be? It would have been a fucking hug. Would have been, hey, little Nick, you're fine. Man, I got your back. And I know that you do not have parents that are leading by example when it comes to their health. And I know that you do not have a masculine role model. And I know that at the end of the day, you don't know this yet, little Nick, but everyone's doing the best that they can. But the reality is that you're sitting here about to be raised by a single mother because your parents' relationship are completely falling apart. And there's a part of you that knows that and fears it. And I see you. I see you. And I would look him in the eye and I'd put my hand on his chest and I'd say, you're good, little man. I got your back. I'm going to be the father that you never had. I am going to be the role model that you never had. I'm going to be the parent that you never had. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to lead a healthy life. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to make decisions that are in your own best interest. Because when things are in your own best interest, they are also in the best interest of everything and everyone that you care about and everything and everyone that you ever interact with. The best thing, little Nick, that you can do for the world is to take care of yourself and to prioritize yourself. And I'm going to guide you for the rest of your life on how to do this. You will never be alone. I know that can feel kind of scary, the idea of being alone. I just want you to know that you never will be. And I got you. I'll be your big brother and I'll be your father. And I'm going to show you exactly how to live. And when times are tough, I will talk to you. I will speak out loud to you and tell you not what you want to hear. I'm not here to cater to your emotions, Nick, but I'm here to listen to you as things come up. So Kaysen, pardon me, as Kaysen comes up, fat mind Kaysen, when you come up, little Nick and Kaysen are maybe a little bit of the same person at this point, right? When you come up in my mind, I will listen to what you have to say because you're a kid, and me being your parent, I'm not going to throw you in the room when you have a fit and not listen to you. When you're a little baby and you're crying, I'm not going to duct tape your mouth so that I don't have to hear your bitch ass cry. I'm going to sit here and hear you out, hear what you have to say, and then I'm going to lead you instead of silencing you. There is no war between us anymore. We are a team. I'm putting you on my back, in my backpack, and I will carry you with me for the rest of your life. And I will be our life together, and I will be the example that you never had. And we're on this journey together, and I'm so glad that we're here. And I'm grateful for you because you have protected me from so many things. You have protected me from witnessing so much bullshit that actually might have been more traumatizing to me in the long run had I known exactly what was happening at all times. And I'm so grateful to have the awareness of you and to be able to have this conversation with you. It's one of the most beautiful things ever. And it makes me excited about life because I'm learning so much about myself in this conversation. What does your fat mind need to hear? That's mine. And the first time that I ever talked to this part of myself was the first time I knew that I would be an amazing father. And this just came up for me recently. Somebody asked me, I don't have children. Someone said, how do you know you'll be an amazing father? And I said, well, the time when I actually put obesity behind me for good, my whole frame on the journey was being the father to myself that I never had. So I've actually been fathering my traumatized child self every single day for 6 years. So I know I will be a phenomenal father because I already am one. That might sound a little bit crazy to some people listening to this, but that's the reality that I exist in, and that's the frame that I choose to view the world through. You're not your thoughts. When you identify with your thoughts, that is a major thing that will block you from seeing this sort of success. Think about the most intrusive thought that you've ever had. You go look over a balcony. What if I jumped? It's not that you want to jump. It's just an intrusive thought. You're driving down the road downtown in your truck or your car, and there's somebody on a scooter, like a drunk, 21-year-old on a scooter, and you're like, oh, what if I just like tapped him with this, with the car a little bit, just kind of like, hit him, like, not to hurt him, it would just be funny. Like that's an intrusive thought. It's not who you are. You see a cop, a police officer, you're like, I could get his gun. Like if I had to, I could get that police officer's gun. But it's like you would never do that, and you don't actually want to. They're just intrusive thoughts. Now, where people start to lose their mind and start to feel shit about themselves is when they identify with the thoughts and go, oh my God, I'm a bad person. Why did I think that? Everyone thinks that kind of shit. You might not be on that level of extremity with those, and that's okay, right? But you have your own intrusive thoughts at different times. Shit, what am I doing married to this person? I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to divorce him. No, it's an intrusive thought. You're probably not going to, right? You're 60, 70 years old. You just have all these thoughts, this what if game. Like those thoughts are not who you are, but they are different parts. They're representative of different parts of yourself. Let the takeaway of this be a couple things. One is that we are all just untraumatized children living in fat bodies, or fat bodies, yeah, and adult bodies is what I meant to say. We are all adults running around as actual traumatized children that are existing in programming that we learned from other people to protect ourselves from hardship that we went through when we were younger. And the idea that you are going to put obesity behind you by not coming to terms with that is not the truth. This is why they say therapists make better weight loss coaches than dietitians. The issue because it has more to do with the mind and your identity than it does the food that you're eating. And this is why we say things like, I know how to lose weight, I just don't know why I can't stick to it. I just don't know why I can't do it. I don't know why I always quit. Well, I'm telling you why you always quit right now. It's because you have not come to terms with your own fat mind. You have not made peace and been the leader that your fat mind was looking for. You have not given your childhood self, the part of you that was struggling with whatever thing, regardless of how serious it may or may not feel to you or me or whoever else might hear you say it, you have not become the person that person needs. And that's a choice. If there's one thing that I've learned from losing weight and keeping it off and really putting obesity behind me, it's what you believe and who you choose to be is a choice. You've got a billion parts of you. We're talking about Nick versus Kaysen, the fat mind versus the healthy mind. There's a billion things in between. There's a trillion parts of you, and you can choose at any time to be any one of those parts that you want. And what you'll find is that the more that you try to kill off these parts of yourself, the more I try to kill off my fat mind, the more the fat mind, you try to silence a kid, the kid's going to scream more. Kids scream and put them in the bedroom, lock the door. You think, okay, I'm in timeout, I'm going to stop screaming. They're going to be screaming louder through the door so that you fucking hear them. Right? And those of you that are parents are going to resonate with that. You've got to hear the voice out and ask yourself, what does the voice actually need? How can I provide that for that voice? Should you take that frame to life, I promise, from the bottom of my heart, from my highest self, the deepest parts of my soul, that you will start feeling like a healthy person. And you will start identifying more with your healthy mind, because so much of you already is healthy. If you're drinking any water at all, then you've got some level of a healthy mind. If you're alive, you have somewhat of a healthy mind. Otherwise, you would have never drank water. You would have thirsted yourself to death already, right? So there are some parts of you that give a shit about yourself and that want you to feel good and succeed. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be on this planet anymore. It's quite brash to say. That's the actual truth, right? So that means that there is a part of you that cares. You can choose to identify with that part of you that cares and to be the role model to the part of you that doesn't seem to care as much, but deep down actually might even care a little bit more. They just need to be reassured that you've got their back and that they're not alone, going to get thrown in timeout and then have to scream a little bit louder. When you come to the root cause, you come to the awareness of the root cause of your trauma, you'll recognize that it's directly correlated to your relationship with food, into your self-belief, into your identity. What's so much more important than your diet, though you do need to simplify your diet, you do need to create a system where food works for you instead of against you, but what's so much more important than that is your belief, your identity, and your embodiment. Embodiment is the key, and that word has been really expansive for me, the word embodiment. I invite you to consider, what does embodiment feel like when you say it? How can I embody the healthiest version of myself? Because you're not your fat mind, you're not your healthy mind. And at the same time, you're all of the full spectrum in between. You get to choose which one you present as and which one you show up as day to day. So I'm going to re-walk you through this same process because I got a little ranty there in the end. You now know what the fat mind is. You now understand that the war between your fat self and your healthy self needs to end, because if it doesn't, you'll be identifying more with your fat mind but you'll be in a skinnier body. You'll eventually be overtaken by the fat mind. The kid inside of you will win, and you will go back and be constantly fighting this war for the rest of your life. You'll never feel internal peace. You'll never be able to put the noise of obesity, food noise, cravings, these things behind you will still exist even after you lose weight. You're going to give that voice a name, and you're going to think about and consider, when is the first time this came up for you? When's the first time you used food as more than a drug, more than what, or as a drug, or more than what it was intended to be used for? How old were you? Where were you? What happened? What did you need? And you're going to then recognize that you are not your fat mind, but it is just a part of you, which you're already using that language right now. When you say, well, part of me, right? This is built into our language. You're then going to ask yourself, if this part of me had more of a voice, what would it say? What does this part of you actually deeply desire? Are there any other parts of you that agree or disagree with this part of yourself? Then you're going to have a conversation with these two different parts of yourself. What does this part of you actually need to feel safe? And what you'll find is that it's actually the exact same thing that you need right now in 2025. If you're feeling like this sort of work is really expansive for you, you're like, wow, I've just been ketoing myself to death every single year. I've never really thought about these things. I've never taken it further than, the devil and the angel on my shoulder kind of mentality. I'm dedicated to this work, to helping other people put obesity behind me the same way that I did for myself. So if you feel like these podcasts are not enough for you, if you've listened to all 90 or so episodes, you're 2 years into listening to this podcast and you're still not happy with your on and off scale results, I'd be happy to talk to you about what it would be like for us to work together and for me to guide you through the common sense diet system the same way that I did for myself. If you're interested in that, if you're feeling a soul calling, you're like, wow, this is the kind of work that I think is really going to help me. I'm scared. Fat mind is coming up. I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I've already done it 110 times. Yeah, no shit, right? This sort of work will help. You can put obesity behind you for good. You deserve it. I deserve to witness you in it. The world deserves to witness you in it, because right now you're spending 99% of your time wishing that you weren't fat and thinking about food. You deserve to feel present in your own life and feel at least like you're able to connect with the future, because you feel like you have a shot of actually being here on this planet. If you're feeling called to that work, you can click the link in the description of this podcast episode or this YouTube video, and I'd be happy to talk to you about the details of what that might look like. If you made it to the end of this podcast episode, thanks for being here. You deserve to lose weight. You can lose weight. And I'm really looking forward to hearing you and witnessing you in your sustainable weight loss results and journey. See you all next week.